Good morning. So, what's this in the background? Well, you probably can't read my writing, but it says the following. Money is better when it's invisible, and money is worse when it's visible. So what exactly do we mean by that? Okay, so let's take a step back for a second and talk about rich versus wealth. Rich is somebody who has money or has cash or has some liquidity. Wealth is what Jerry Maguire's Cuba Gooding Jr. would call the quan. That is, they have everything, not just the money, but the happiness, the lifestyle, the peace of mind, the excitement, the adventure, all of it. They have every single piece you could possibly imagine. So now let's take a step back and find out who's happiest, the wealthiest person or the rich person, the wealthy person or the poser, the one that actually has wealth or the one that pretends to have wealth. You tell me. Okay, so here's another question for you while you think about that. How do we define wealth? Let's see. Do we define wealth as getting everything you want or defining it as getting everything somebody else thinks you want? What about rich? Do we define rich simply as money, having money, or somebody who has money, or somebody who pretends to have money? You see them on Instagram all the time, don't you? You see them on Facebook, you see them on Twitter, you see them everywhere with the Ferrari in the background or the Lamborghini or the Bentley, which obviously is leased, which is a terrible decision, right? And then you've got them, the fake houses and the fake cars and all that stuff. And the genuine ones, the ones that really have wealth, how do they dress? Do they have a suit? Have you noticed that? No, they don't, do they? They wear shirts, shorts, pants, t-shirts. They don't wear the suit. They don't wear the pretend to be, the cufflinks or the watches, right? They wear what makes them comfortable. So why is that? Why does somebody who's truly wealthy and happy and all that kind of sophisticated stuff, why do they not care anymore about how they look? Because the image that they portray of themselves inside is significantly more important than the image they portray of themselves outside. Now look, I'm not saying that if you're going to go and buy yourself a Bentley and a Ferrari, it's a bad thing. It's a great thing if that's what you truly want. I have an S550 Mercedes. I love that car. I could have a Ferrari, a Lamborghini, or a Bentley, or Rolls Royce, and maybe someday I'll decide to get one. But the S550 makes me comfortable, and I own it. I don't have a lease on it. It's already fully paid for. That's what I like. It isn't because I want you to be impressed that I have a car, the S550 Mercedes. It's because that's what I enjoy to drive. It just sort of is what it is. But I have been in that place in my life, especially early in my career, in my early 20s and 30s, where I wanted to pretend to be actually wealthier than I really was. Had the plane, check. The condo in Mammoth, California, check. Right? The racing custom-made Mercedes, check. And the list goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on until I lost it all. Yeah. Ego got the better of me, and I took my company from Inc., 500 fastest growing company, all kinds of stuff, to boom, all the way down. Now, I can tell you why I lost that fortune, but I'll tell you the simple reason. Because I pretended to be something I wasn't. Just like you see people out there on Instagram and on Facebook pretending to be something they're not. Now, of course, I made my fortune back 2 times over, and I became wealthy versus just rich. So why does money look better when it's invisible? How many rich guys, and I mean rich, genuinely rich, wealthy guys, do you know personally? Not the guy down the street with a car and the guy on Instagram. I mean like people that you can talk to one-on-one genuinely and have a conversation with them. How many do you know? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What do they drive? One of the richest guys I know drives a pickup truck. Another rich guy I know drives not a van, but a station wagon, right? And these guys, and I'm not talking, 5 million, 2 million, right? I'm talking serious money, right? I'm talking, one guy's worth $250 million, other guy's worth a little bit more than $250 million. How about this one? I know a guy who's worth $500 million, has 3 houses, dresses in tank tops and shorts every single day, and has a dog. He works an hour a day. He's 67 years old now. If I mentioned him, you would know who he is. He has a very simple life. I know another guy who's a billionaire, was a Warren Buffett partner for Level 3 Communication, FMS Communication. I'm dyslexic, bear with me, right? NESL. And he's worth over $1 billion. I used to coach him at one point in time. And guess what he drives? like a beat up old Mercedes, something of that nature. And he had a beautiful house in Montecito, California, but then he once sold it and moved to somewhere else up north. So how many guys and gals do you know who are truly wealthy? What do they drive? What do they care about? Results or how you perceive them? What interests them most? The efficacy of achieving something or how you think of them? They don't care what you think, do they? No, of course we don't. They care about achieving the desired result and getting what they truly want. In fact, one of the things that I talk about quite often, to be exact, is are you really achieving the goals that you want versus the goals somebody else wants you to achieve? Are you being a victim to the Instagram following and the Twitter following and all this kind of crazy stuff, or are you genuinely following what you think you want? Because we get pressure every day. See, here's what happens. They put these ads up with a Ferrari and all these things. They hit your limbic system, which is really smart for marketing. They trigger your limbic system and you instantaneously compare yourself to them, don't you? Of course we do. You can't, your neocortex won't tell you no. You're going to compare yourself to them because that's the way life works. And then the limbic system triggers on, neocortex shuts down, and you go, I want that too. And you start to feel lesser than. Like you're not as good as they are, or there's something wrong with you, or you're missing out on what you should be getting. When the truth of the matter is, when you're truly wealthy, none of that stuff affects you. Why? Because you just don't give a you know what. You care about other things. You care about things that truly matter to you, particularly achievement, not just the appearance of achievement. Does that make sense? So when money is invisible, what I mean by that is, look, it doesn't matter how much money I have to you. It doesn't matter if I have 100 million, 150 million. It doesn't make a difference, does it? It doesn't affect your life one way or the other. What you care about is what's happening in your current situation, and are you happily moving in the direction you want to move? So true wealth is about the achievement and the journey and the destination, not about the appearance. Now, I understand that these guys on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, that's how they make their money, right? To portray this image. And then that image makes you want what they have because you feel lesser than. The law of contrast takes in. But let me ask you a different question. I love moving, right? Because it's kind of cool stuff. Who do you admire the most? Who do you that you know out there in this world admire the most? Tell me, or at least tell yourself, right? Who do you admire the most? Is it Steve Jobs? Is it Tony Robbins? Is it, Lee Iacocca? Is it, it doesn't matter. Who do you admire the most? Who do you like? Who would you want to emulate? Who would you want to be like? I want to be like them. And as you think about that, I want you to ask yourself, what was their life like? Steve Jobs wore, as you know, black t-shirts and pants and wore the same thing over and over again. Why? Because he believed, and if you read the biography, you already know this, he believed in order to simplify his life so he can use his brain to make decisions that mattered, he didn't want to have to think about what should I wear. So it became a uniform for him. He didn't care what you thought of him. He cared what he could actually achieve. How about somebody else that you admire or you love or you think of? How about your buddy Tony Robbins, right? He's probably the biggest guy out there in terms of, personal growth, development, and motivation. Is he on stage? Does he wear suits? In fact, not only does he not wear suits, he hated wearing suits. If you look at the history back, Tony talked about when he did the first business seminar, he wore a suit. It was not him at all. He stopped doing it. Why? Because it's him. He doesn't have to be impressive to you, right? Like you already know who he is. So he wears his shorts and his t-shirt. Why? Because that's what he is comfortable in. Does that make sense? How about you? Are you the one that understands that money is better when it's invisible? Or are you still trying to show money as visibility? Right now in our office, we have two offices here in Texas, right? And this is our little video room. Now, could we have gotten amazing lighting and all kinds of stuff? Yeah, but here's what we got. Take a look, come on. There is light one, and there's two more lights that way. And we have a nice little easel board. And by the way, that wonderful handwriting is mine. So don't blame anybody else. Now, why not go full out with the lighting and stuff? Because it's not going to make a difference to you, is it? You don't care if the lighting is great or if it's just some cheap lighting that we're using. All you care about is what's the content, what's the information. So here's what I'm going to challenge you to do. If you really believe that you're pursuing your goals and that money to you looks better when it's invisible, I'm going to challenge you to be an invisible millionaire. What does that mean? That means that you quietly become what I'm known as a sleeper. That's what they call me, the sleeper. So I'll give a little story. When I was doing martial arts, I now weigh, 180 something. I used to weigh 165 on a good day, right? Soaking wet. but I did a lot of martial arts, and I was a good kickboxing guy, right? Stand up, pam, 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 pam. And man, I never lost him. When I fought, I gave it all I had. So I'd be walking down the street with my little suspenders and my now wife, back then fiance, and people would pick on me. This is at UCLA. And they'd be like, hey, buddy, da-da-da. They'd pick on me because my wife was super hot. So they'd pick on me, this is back 1990, 91, 92. And altercation would occur. Just a playful altercation, we're horsing around a little bit. And instantaneously, they'd go from, I can kick this guy to, They had no idea who I was. They had no idea what I could do. That's known as a sleeper. How about this? Ever see a car that on the outside looks okay, but you get on the inside, or you put on the pedal and the thing just goes like crazy? That's a sleeper. How about this? I have 2 houses, one in California, one here in Texas. On the outside of my house, both of them, you look and you go, it's a nice house. You open that door and guess what? You go, because I don't care what somebody else thinks about how the outside of my house looks like. I care about the inside of my house, because that's where I live. I don't live on the outside. I live on the inside. So when I walk in, I want the house to be the way I want it. Now, I happen to like really nice things and, certain kind of furniture. My wife has amazing taste and all this kind of incredible stuff, right? So we don't furnish it to be impress things to you. Like, whoa, wow, we're so impressed by your furniture. I mean, if you are, great. If not, that's okay too. We do it because I want to walk into something that I want to enjoy. Does that make sense? Money is better when it's invisible because it's all about what you can do with it. When we donate to a certain charity, or charities, I should say, we never put our name on it. In fact, our kids had no idea we were donating to a certain charity every single year. Some years more, some years less, depending on what kind of year we had in terms of income. But why would I care if they know who the charity comes from? Am I doing it for them, for the recognition, or am I doing it for me? Now look, we all want to be recognized, right? Everybody wants to be recognized to say, I want to be recognized for certain things. I want to be recognized as a great parent. I want to be recognized as somebody who can share some information that you find valuable and go, wow, Mark's really made an impact in how I think and what I do. Of course. But outside of that, I don't need the props. You don't either. You only need the props if they're deserved. Jim Rohn, one of my mentors and most incredible human being, said, if you found the gold medal out in the street, would you wear it? Of course you wouldn't. Why wouldn't you? Because you haven't earned it. But if you earned the gold medal and you were robbed of the gold medal, would that change the fact that you won the gold medal? Of course not. Invisible money. Become an invisible decamillionaire like me. Not somebody who shouts it out all the time. You don't want that. Or do you? Maybe you do. But deep down inside, if you truly ask yourself what it is that you want, you may want to call for the recognition, but here's what happened. I usually wear a Rolex. It's in the other room in my office. And I remember when I first wanted a Rolex, it was a goal of mine. Like, I want a Rolex. And I started making money and I saved 100 grand. So I could buy the Rolex. I didn't buy the Rolex. Then I had $1 million cash. Still didn't buy the Rolex. And I had 10 million. Still didn't buy the Rolex. 20 million. Still didn't buy the Rolex. It wasn't until later when I lost the fortune that I bought the Rolex. Why? Because when I had the cash and I could buy the Rolex was just to make me better. It wasn't about the Rolex itself. It was about what the Rolex was helping me achieve and do. Does that make sense? It gave me a purpose, a reason as to why to go forward. And then when I could do it, I just didn't need it. It was the idea that got me to achieve stuff. And then I finally bought the Rolex because I couldn't afford it anymore. Now I wanted to feel good about myself. I wanted to have the pretense. I wanted to get back what I had lost versus actually being that person. Still have it, love it. That was 10 plus years ago. As I made the second fortune, guess what I chose to do? Chose set all these goals about doing and having and achieving and getting these things. And very little thing did I buy. I invested, traveled, still travel a ton. But I realized all those other things were just for show and tell. It was just to show you, look how much money I have. Look at me, aren't I great? Let me put on my nice red suit and let me curse at you every 3 seconds. And let me tell you, if you save $1 million, you ain't shit. None of that stuff mattered to me. What mattered was what made me happy. What got me to go to do more. How many guys and gals do you know who actually achieve some success and then they stop? They sabotage themselves. Me too, used to be that guy, right? Why? Because it was money that was looking to make visible so that you could like me, so that you would admire and respect me. When I understand that money was invisible when it's best, it became about what I thought, how I felt, what I achieved with this. You may go, Oh, that guy, I don't agree with him. He's nothing, blah, blah. That's okay. Still that sleeper. Does that make sense? So how would you live your life if you could become an invisible millionaire or invisible decamillionaire? How would you live your life? What would you achieve? What would you do? How much different would you be? I guarantee you this, you won't be checking out Instagram or Facebook or Twitter to look for people that are doing better than you so you can feel shitty about yourself. You look for what can I actually do to achieve that now? And once you realize that your true desires, your true dreams are more in line with being an invisible millionaire, with money being invisible, man alive or woman alive, what you will achieve will be beyond what you've expected ever you could achieve. Because no longer are these chains holding you down anymore. See, I've got this idea, and from personal experience, and maybe you can share this too, that I know what holds me back isn't that I don't have enough motivation, it's the chains of the past that are tied to me, down, tied to the bottom. As I break those chains, I move quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker. This here is a terrible chain, one that holds everybody down unless you can decide to be free today. How do you do that? Make a conscious choice right now that none of that stuff you see on fake media or Insta-Geek, what all that stuff is going to affect you. Decide what you truly want and then put your head down. Find people that genuinely want the best for you, who really want you to succeed. By the way, on a side note, nobody wants you to succeed. Nobody. I have a little recording that I give my clients. That's about 20 minutes. There's a 6-set series when they become a client. I give them every day. They have to listen to it, right? If they choose to. And one of them is nobody wants you to succeed. In fact, I'll tell you what. I don't know if this is on Facebook or wherever this is going to be posted now. If you direct message me, hey Marks, I want that. I'll send you that recording that shows that nobody wants you to succeed. And when you hear it, you'll totally understand it. And you've got to make a choice. Are you going to let that hold you back or are you going to move forward? Make sense? Either way, I hope for you that this has been helpful. I hope for you that you decide that being an invisible millionaire, because money is better when it's invisible, is way more rewarding than trying to show off whatever cash you may not even have. The more money you make, the more successful you become, trust me, the less you're going to want to show it. Why? Because it's who you've become, not what you have. Make sense? All right. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you. Have an incredible day, and I hope to connect with you soon. Bye for now.